Pain heals. Chicks dig scars. Glory lasts forever.
Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Shout out to the 19. Yes, we are going to do a post-game video on the Indiana Fever. Yes, we are. So do you want the good news or the bad news? Smash the like button first. All right. So we'll go with the bad news. How about that? Well, the bad news with this game is that there is no good news. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Sort of. So how about we start off with something awesome? I will give a shout out to Aaliyah Boston. Now I know it's early in the season, but she's also had what 4 of the 6 games now. She's had 2 of the games without Caitlin Clark. She's been ignored in whatever this offense is. I guess we'll call it the non-offense offense, the offensive offense. Only 15 shots in 2 games for Aaliyah Boston. 12 of 15, by the way, on those 15 shots. Despite all of that, she has career highs. And again, I know it is early, but if we take a look at this, she has career highs in points at 16.8 per game, in rebounds, 9.2 per game, field goal percentage, 65.2%, effective field goal percentage, 65.9%, blocks, 1.8 per game, assists, 3.5 per game. And yeah, even her 3-point shooting is a career high at 50%, but she's not taking many. So I didn't even include that because the rest of this list by itself is impressive as it is. Oh, and of course, I have to point out career high in fouls per game at 3.8. And that is not a knock on Aaliyah Boston. I am convinced that Aaliyah Boston, if not for the existence of Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston would have the worst whistle in the WNBA. So, and now we got to go to something that is going to be interesting going forward as well. If I have it here, and I think that I do, right? We had this, unfortunately, with Sid Colson relatively early in the game where she left with a knee injury. I don't have anything yet, but you can see Jay Sheldon rolls up on the leg, and that is not a good sign. Of course, I feel bad even saying it because of what ended up happening, but I was watching this live, and before I knew there was an injury, I was like, come on, we can't keep giving up the ball so easily because that's sloppy ball handling. And it wasn't just Sid, right? I saw it earlier with Natasha Howard where it's not even defensive pressure. It just seemed somehow can't dribble. Now, a lot of people are upset about, oh, you shouldn't be able to dive for loose balls. That happens every time there's an injury. People have been diving for loose balls forever. I played forever. I don't ever recall a single injury from a loose ball. Not that they don't happen, but my point is, in football, you've got fumbles they're all diving for. You've got, rugby. And I mean, what you can say, and what I would say here, if we go back, and I don't think this was dirty, but I would say this was reckless. I would say you could make this a flagrant foul and toss her out because you see that she kind of tried to go through Sydney's legs for that ball and rolled up over her leg, which is what caused the problem. So I have no problem without changing the rules. Use the rules that you have and call a flagrant foul on there. But just me personally, and my understanding of the game and playing the game and watching the game, you cannot eliminate diving on the ground for a loose ball. And you may have a different opinion. That's cool. Let me know in the comments below. But you can call flagrant fouls and have consequences when it is reckless with what these players are doing. And then, of course, and I know she's probably getting a lot of heat now because same player. Also, Jace Sheldon here, who causes an injury on Sophie Cunningham, and we don't know how long she's going to be out. I mean, she had tears in her eyes, which is really unusual when you're talking about Sophie Cunningham. So I'm guessing it hurt a lot. But you can see here, she sets the screen. Sheldon runs into her. Sophie holds her ground. Sheldon runs into her again. You could see there where Sophie was trying to recover. If you looked at the right ankle, she kind of rolled it to the outside there. So that, I don't know, something like that. Again, it's one of those we don't know until there's a thorough examination. I can tell you this from experience with both broken ankles And sprained ankles, depending on the severity of the sprain, a sprained ankle, as crazy as it sounds, can keep you out longer than a broken one. Yes, I know that is wild, but it really depends on where and the severity of the sprain. So now we've got basically the other, well, I know we've been using Kelsey Mitchell, but basically the other two players that have been given ball handling duties are not playing. But we've got some other issues with this team. For example, and by the way, they got to the line more than the Sun, so we can't go with that. They shot actually well, very well from the line this time, 18 of 21, 85%. The Sun 13 of 15, 86%, but right, 5 point advantage on that. But one thing we have to look at, total turnovers. Total turnovers for the Fever, 15. The team got 30 points off of 15 turnovers. That is one, again, more turnovers. Now that's 31 in 2 games, which is higher than the number of turnovers they were averaging with Caitlin Clark. And as we all know, different types of turnovers with Caitlin Clark compared to what we're seeing there with the Indiana Fever now. And isn't Steph White a defensive coach? Like, isn't that her thing? 30 points off 15 turnovers. Do you realize like how insane that is to average 2 points per opponent turnover? As you can see by the Fever, barely over a point scored on the Suns' 19 turnovers. 24 points off 19 turnovers. And again, there's the difference right there. 6 points. There's a difference in the game. That is not a good number. Uh, we take a look at the box score real quick just to go through a few things. Just to show you what I'm saying. Aaliyah Boston was 8 of 10, folks. Now she got in foul trouble again because of that terrible whistle, but she was 8 of 10 on the court for 26 minutes. Didn't grab as many rebounds as usual, 5, but she had 8 assists. She led the team in assists while still picking up 17 points despite only playing 26 minutes because of foul trouble and despite only getting off 10 shots. Kelsey Mitchell hasn't been able to hit anything all season long since the opening game against the Sky. 4 of 15, 0 of 4 from 3. She has gone into full on, give me the ball, head down, out of control, dribble, 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 going to find a way to take a shot. It is the 1v5. And look, I got to put part of that on the coach for one, giving her ball handling duties. And two, I do not understand what it is we are trying to do with this offense, what it is we're trying to accomplish. Luana Bonner was solid again coming off the bench. 13 points and only 7 of shots, 3 of 5 from 3, which you're not usually going to get from her. One of them banked in, which she was not trying to do, and that's not a negative. That's just, hey, sometimes you got that going for you, which is impressive. Again, Sophie was hurt. Lexi was really solid once again, 12 points, 4 rebounds, 5 of 8 from the field, 2 of 2 from 3. But I just don't know what this. Now, I will say this. They climbed back into the game, and then they were down 15 in the fourth and came all the way back to take the lead, and then they blew the lead. But here is the thing. You can say, oh, well, this looks, hey, they came back, and I will give them credit for that, right? They didn't fold. They continued to play hard. But here's the thing. How did they come back? And this is why it's not necessarily a signal for going forward. One, it was an 0-5 Sun team. It's absolutely abysmally bad. But also, you know how you get comebacks like that? First of all, shots start falling, but you've thrown the offensive game plan, if there was one, out the window, right? You've gone into desperation mode. You've gone into picking up the pace a little bit. You've gone into being quick and taking quicker shots and just getting the ball up. It is a completely different look than what your offense was supposed to be, which again doesn't bode well for what the offense was supposed to be. Stephanie White's coaching, and I know people get, oh, it's only 6 games. I'm being very fair. I said right when the hire made, I was not convinced. I had to see her in action. I've yet to be impressed with in action. The track record is not there. She took 2 good WNBA teams, took the reins of 2 good WNBA teams, and basically didn't make them worse, although they didn't achieve what they had achieved before her. Was there for limited time, 2 years each, and left both. Spent 6 years at Vanderbilt, which was an absolute disaster. So again, I don't know. We don't know what it would be. One thing if we recognize this offense, if there was a game plan, if we had something we were trying to accomplish and it just wasn't being executed well. And look, there's a lot of blame on the players. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this is all on the coach, But what is the offense? Can any of you tell me? I mean, some say motion. I see a lot of dribble handoffs. I'm not seeing any pick and roll, just like I said last time. AB was left on the floor with 2 fouls early in the second and was continuing to guard Tina Charles. Really? It's a way to pick up your third foul. And oh, she did. So we had to bench her for the next, 7+ minutes. The backup point guard, Sydney Colson, who should have never been the backup point guard. I'm sorry. And look, you all know it because everyone keeps saying, oh, she was signed for vibes. If there is ever a sign a league is not professional, it's telling me the backup point guard to the best player in the league when you're trying to win a championship was signed for vibes, and people are okay with that. It's absolutely wild. And the announcers are right. Connecticut didn't look like an 0 for 5 team, but that's because Indiana looked absolutely horrendous. We are not going to win a lot of games with this slow down, quicksand Connecticut Sun offense. Stephanie White came in here supposedly saying all the right things about Caitlin Clark and then has decided she's going to change Caitlin Clark. No, there's no pick and rolls. They're not shooting threes, right? If we take a look at that, we've got they're shooting 20 threes per game, all the way down at 10th. I think they were 5th last year at over 25 threes per game. Supposedly, we have more 3-point shooters this year when you factor in Howard and Bonner. And you wanted AB, right? Wasn't Stephanie White talking about wanting AB to shoot more threes as well? Obviously, you have Lexi Hull and Kelsey Mitchell. Damiris Dantas shoots the three. You got a whole team of players that shoot threes, but they're 10th in the league. Only 0.3 threes attempted over the Connecticut Sun, right? If I go 2 turnovers, they're all the way down at 7th, now averaging 14.3. So again, they've had 31 in the last 2 games. That's 15.5 per game without Caitlin Clark. So it was probably, I don't know, roughly just under 14 with Caitlin Clark, of which they also got a lot better offense. So that is a problem. You know, we had let me see what this is. This one, yeah, this is Steph White talking a little bit about the injuries and adversity.
Injuries? No update yet. Wait to hear from our training staff about where we are right now. But no, Sid was in the locker room. I didn't see Sophie after the game. There's no question. We're hitting adversity right now. Like it's challenging, and it's still a great opportunity for us because it's not going to be perfect. It's early enough in the season that we've got a chance to really, I think, find a gut check moment, right? And who we're going to be through adversity. And I think our team battled. We just didn't have enough at the end.
It's better to happen now than later on in the year because we're still so early and we can still figure it out and adjust to it because losing bodies like that at the end of the year is really hard to adjust, especially when you're in a rhythm. But good thing we're not in a rhythm right now. So still figuring it out. So it's just going back to just keep starting over every day. So that's kind of where we are. But I don't think it's deflated. It's basketball. We know how we can shift our mindset.
Do we know? Because there's the thing. Yeah, adversity is going to happen. Yes, injuries happen. I get it. Definitely gut check and all that. But before the injuries, nobody understands what this team is. Nobody understands it. You've completely eliminated Aaliyah Boston from this offense. Kelsey Mitchell, 4 of 14, 0 of 3. That was before 0 of 3 from 3, before that, whatever that was, game-winning attempt. I don't understand why you're even going to Kelsey Mitchell for the final shot. I don't know why you're giving her the ball in the corner. And in addition, with the amount of time left, if you do want to get it to Kelsey Mitchell, it doesn't have to go directly to her. You can work some other action and an off-ball pick to free her up for a much better opportunity than the one you get. I mean, this is at least 3 of, half the games, 3 games now that have been decided by terrible plays drawn up at the end of the games by Stephanie White. And yes, players' execution, I get it. 100%. But it's a coach's job to put them in a position to be successful, and we have not seen that yet from Stephanie White. The players may not be executing the way they should, but they're also not being put in a position for success. So I'm not getting that at all. I think Stephanie White, there's something else here from her that I wanna take a listen to and talk about before I wrap this up. I don't want to make this one too long for y'all, but here we go.
Shift things and lead to some of the struggles you guys had in the offensive end?
I think in the first quarter, at the end of the first quarter into the second, it was like kind of like a gut punch, and then we had to really reconfigure what we were doing on the offensive end, and it affected us in the second quarter, no doubt. Not having another primary ball handler. We take Sophie out of what she does naturally really well when she has to become a ball handler. I think it kind of punched us in the gut for a little while. But look, the reality is, like, this stuff happens. Like, we've seen it time and time again in our league, and having to find.
Yeah, I know the physicality, blah blah blah. It's a physical league. We get it. That's why everyone always gets hurt and no one wants to watch the games. What was the offseason about? If you don't have another ball handler, and she is right about I've said it. Sophie without Caitlin has to be the point guard, but yeah, that makes a less effective Sophie without a doubt because that is not her. She can do it if you need her to do it, but that is not her strength. So what was the offseason about if we didn't get a ball handler? I know, and a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, that's not the solution," but I'm sorry. Because remember, we also wanted to get Caitlin Clark rest. So let's say Caitlin Clark is not hurt. Grace Berger, who played 15 minutes a game in her rookie season before getting Christy Sides out of the league, is a solid point guard. She's not flashy. She's not going to be a superstar, but she can run an offense. She can give you productive minutes and not hurt the team because what we're seeing now with the way the roster has been put together is hurting the team. Oh my, I could go on and on and on about this. I will not. There will be a CC Sunday tomorrow as well. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about this, but I'm going to leave you with a positive because with all the struggles, I don't think this is getting enough recognition. Lexi Hall is a starter, 12 points, 3.3 rebounds per game, 71.4% from three. Her three is back. And of course, her defense, her hustle, and the way she gets fired up. Lexi Hall has been absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately, it's been part of an absolute train wreck of a mess for the Indiana Fever right now. But again, it's a long season. Caitlin Clark will be back. We will see if Stephanie White can adjust. Caitlin Clark doesn't need to adjust. It's not right now. I think we're all clear on that. Stephanie White needs to adjust to Caitlin Clark. We will see if she has it in her. She's always fought a good game as a coach. I want to see some results now. This isn't just an opportunity with adversity for the players, it is one for the coach. Can she take this roster and put them in good positions to give them the best chance of success? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, appreciate you checking out this video. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will talk to you later.